All right. Hello. Hi, Lydia. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well, Katie.
All right. Well, we are so excited to be here talking with you today. I had so much fun getting to talk to you last week and learning more about more labs and everything that you guys have going on. So I'm sure that we will kind of recreate that conversation that we had, and everybody's going to learn a ton. So, just looking through all of the things that we talked about before we get too deep into anything, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and about more labs in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the CPG marketing space for a little over 15 years. I started my career in sales, but always knew that I wanted to transition into marketing because I love really understanding consumers, what their unmet needs are, what their motivations are, what their desires are, and really crafting communication and storytelling or products around those needs and really delighting them throughout their user journey. And so really started in the beauty space early in my career. And then about 5 years ago, wanted to make a transition, loved beauty, loved how dynamic and fast paced that industry is, but was looking to make a little bit of a change in my career and moved into the health and wellness space because as I looked at a lot of Nielsen and IRI data, I saw that category was really on fire. And then from a personal perspective, I have a huge passion for the health and wellness space. So really wanted to marry my professional and personal passions and came into the health and wellness space and worked for one of the leading vitamin and supplement brands in the US. Learned a ton from an R&D perspective, from an innovation perspective, and from a regulatory perspective. It was a much different playing field than cosmetics with a lot of rules and regulations. And so had an amazing experience there. And one of the things that I did throughout my career was always raise my hand for new and different experiences. And at this brand, one of the big, initiatives that we were trying to take on was how do we become more digitally native? And so I led a department, a newly created department, and built out the e-commerce capabilities for that brand and allowed them to unlock, new and untapped growth. So I always wanted to really get into the digital space because I knew, I was watching a lot of my friends in DTC spaces and they were having a great time working on smaller brands that were really dynamic, fast-paced. And that was something that I wanted to really learn throughout my career. So I took all of that learning and then joined More Labs about 6 months ago as the VP of marketing, really leading everything from brand to innovation to all of e-commerce and performance marketing, insights, and design. So it's been a really amazing journey, and I love sinking my teeth into the performance and D2C aspect of brands because I think there's so much you can do, and there's a huge impact that you can make just utilizing data and making sure that you're always testing and learning new things.
Sure. Wow. That sounds like it's been a really fun career too. So More Labs clearly is lucky to have you. So tell us a little bit about the product. Tell us about More Labs. Tell us about morning recovery. I'm sure that there are people who are listening or watching that maybe are not familiar. I was lucky because I knew about some of these products before we even got on the phone, but then learned so much more. So tell us, about the products and where did this whole thing come from?
Yeah, so I'll start with who More Labs is. More Labs is a dietary supplement brand, and we really make innovative functional shots to eliminate the daily stressors that people face in their day-to-day lives. And so these formulas are highly scientific, and they're really made to help consumers get more out of life. No pun intended. But that was really kind of the genesis and the birth around More Labs. And it all started when Si-Sun Lee, our founder in 2016, he was born in Korea and then emigrated to Canada and wanted to visit Korea as an adult. So he took some time off from his then job at Tesla, took a little bit of a sabbatical, went to Korea to explore the country, met up with some friends, had a few late nights out, and they ended up stumbling into kind of a corner convenience store. And his friends had told him about all of these tonics and elixirs that really help eliminate hangovers. And he's like, I have to give this a shot. He's like, I've never heard of anything like this. And so he and his friends, took a little bit of a shot, went to bed, and he claims he woke up the next morning feeling 110%. So as he traveled back to the US, he kind of scoured the internet, scoured stores to see if he could find this product, and he couldn't. And so he set out to create this product in the US and launch it. And so he was fortunate at the time to really launch it on Indiegogo and kind of crowdsource and get some funding and really understand from a proof of concept, does this product have legs? You know, is there a desire or product market fit? And within hours, you know, the product sold out. And so he knew right there he had something really unique and special. And then worked with a lead scientist at USC to really hone in and develop the formulation. And really launched that in earnest in 2017. And, you know, we've been on a ride ever since. So it's been great. And so in 2017, Morning Recovery, which is our hangover prevention drink, launched. Why it's so unique and special, I think there's an old wives' tale where all you need to do is drink a ton of water and you'll feel fine the next day, or pop an aspirin, and that's actually false. You know, our product has a proprietary ingredient called DHM. And what it does is it allows your liver to metabolize alcohol faster and get rid of those toxins. So you don't wake up feeling, you know, getting that nausea, anxiety, headache, all of those symptoms that you experience when you have a hangover. And it has a lot of proprietary ingredients, but it has a mix of vitamins, electrolytes, milk thistle, and Korean red ginseng as well. And so that blend really does help eliminate hangovers. And we're so confident about it. We give a money back guarantee on our site. And we've also conducted a clinical on Morning Recovery. And so consumers who use Morning Recovery versus those who didn't felt 80% better on the top symptoms of hangovers. So headache, nausea, heart pounding, dizziness, etc. So we really truly feel like we have something special here. And we were the first brand to launch in the US, and we remain the #1 product in our category. So a great place to be. And the team's done a really outstanding job, really getting us to where we are today. And then we have 2 other products in our portfolio. One's called Liquid Focus and the other is Dreamwell. Those both launched in 2020. And so, you know, when CSUN and the team saw how successful this one product was, they started to dive in and do a ton of research with consumers to really understand what are some other unmet needs that consumers have. And what they found was there was this huge untapped opportunity in energy and sleep, and to really craft a product and a formula that's slightly different than some of the leading brands out there. So Liquid Focus is our energy drink. It helps kind of heighten focus and boost productivity. And it's made with nootropics. So it has a lot of really interesting ingredients. And, you know, we kind of like to say it's a cleaner energy drink. And one of the benefits is you don't get the crash and jitters that you get with the traditional energy drinks on the market. And so that's a huge benefit for consumers. And then the third product is Dreamwell. And so that really helps. You know, what we found was consumers were really having a hard time sleeping. And 2 of the root causes were just too much caffeine in your body still running through at night, and then stress and anxiety, which I think everyone can relate over the last few years. I think we've all experienced some of that. And so this formula really attacks those 2 things with formulas like lemon balm and jujube seed. And then there's an ingredient called Evodia rudicarpa, which actually detoxes your body of caffeine. So it's really, I love what the team's done with the formulas. They're highly intentional and they're so different than what you would find in a traditional supplement aisle. And so I think the team's done something really special here.
I feel like this is just, I mean, those 3 products are what every, you know, working person needs. I mean, at any age though, but okay, so you're going to help me sleep well, make it so that I can go out for happy hour and not feel it the next day, and allow me to focus while I'm at work. I mean, so, I mean, guess based on that, who is your target market? I mean, who do you guys find purchasing your products the most, and where do you reach these people? Like, what's working well for you in marketing to get in front of the right people?
Yeah, spot on. So what we found is that the folks who really need us and that are loyal fans are kind of dual income parents, you know, juggling 2 jobs, have kids in the households, higher income, and they tend to be work in corporate America or have a higher kind of corporate job. So folks across sales or finance, we know from like the financial industry, people love Liquid Focus. So that product does really well with the financial investment community. But yeah, it's really what you just pointed out, people that have to perform perform and be at their peak performance on a day-to-day basis, right? Of course, you want to enjoy life and go out to happy hour, but you also need to be up early in the morning and make sure that, you can take your calls and things like that. And so it's anyone that really just needs to perform. And so we tend to attract a millennial demographic and in a pretty high household income. And we really just want to kind of spread the word and delight as many people as possible, because we just want people to get more out of life. We want people to be able to perform, and they shouldn't have regrets because they want to go out and have fun with friends.
Oh, I love that. I think that's amazing. So you told me a little bit about the fact that now you guys are really getting more into brick and mortar businesses, right?
Correct.
You're in CVS, I think you said Walgreens.
Yep.
How's that going? And, starting out as a D2C brand, what was that whole transition like? Why did you feel that that was where you guys also needed to be?
Yeah. So from a retail perspective, that is our focus right now, is how do we expand and get in as many doors as possible. So right now we're at about 27,000 stores. We have authorization across the US. And what that will really help and allow us to do is generate brand awareness, right? So people will start to recognize the product that they see wherever we have it within the planogram. So for morning recovery, we tend to make sure that we have placement in kind of the alcohol or spirits aisle, or checkout in convenience stores. And then Liquid Focus and Dreamwell and a lot of our natural grocery chains, we have that in the supplement aisle. And so retail is a huge focus for us. But to your point, we started in 2017 exclusively as a D2C brand. And in 2018, the team made the decision to move into Amazon, because Amazon's such a huge platform. And as a brand, how can you ignore those eyeballs, right? We know that so many people are going to Amazon to do product research, or, it's lower in the purchase funnel. And so
they're searching on Amazon instead of Google in a lot of cases.
Right? Yeah, there's so many product searches that start on Amazon. And so, as a brand, the team made the decision to say we have to be on Amazon, right? It's from an acquisition perspective, it's slightly less than some of the traditional acquisition things that you can do to drive traffic to your site. So 2018 was Amazon, and then we also started to expand into retail. And what's really interesting and unique about our kind of portfolio is, our assortment is slightly different online versus in store. So in store, we sell single bottles. And what we hope is that we can generate that awareness, subsequent trial, and once people see that it works, because it does have a feedback loop. I think that's what's really unique about our products, is you feel the difference, you feel it working. And I think that's a really important cue for consumers. So once they try that product, the hope is that they come back to our site, become loyal users, and purchase our 6-packs, 12-packs, or 24-packs, because they want to use it themselves and create that habitual or daily regimen. But they also want to share it with friends when they have people over. And so we have seen success with, getting authorization in as many doors. And then that loyal user tends to come to our site and buy in bulk, which is great.
And do you see them going that direction, or do you see them mainly finding you on Amazon? I mean, and I would assume the goal is to get them to your website, right? To make the purchases from your site.
Yeah.
But what do you see happening after that first retail in-store purchase?
Yeah, so we do some post-purchase survey results, and we see from a retail perspective, it's all about convenience, right? So that immediacy, that I need to swing by the convenience store because I'm going to go to a happy hour with colleagues, and so it's fantastic to be where consumers are. But we know we live in an omni-channel world, and we need to make sure that we're everywhere the consumer is, and so retail is just as important as e-commerce for us. And, the hope, to your point, Katie, is, how can we get some of these first-time, second-time purchasers to come to our site and become loyal subscribers? How do we make sure that we're increasing that AOV and LTV long-term? And then from an Amazon and Shopify perspective, we don't view Amazon as a threat. We don't view them as a competitor. We're not competing against ourselves. Amazon is a marketplace. So we're competing against all of the other brands that have come into this space, whether it's hangover prevention drinks, focus and productivity drinks, or sleep drinks. we really want to make sure that, we have a crack at that as well. And so we invest on Amazon because we feel like it's a fantastic marketplace, and that's where consumers are. And so that's
yeah,
where
it totally makes sense to me. Do you see, or like, I mean, if you had a crystal ball, do you see other D2C brands that are going to start placing things in retail to help drive awareness and then follow that similar path? Do you see that happening a lot now? Do you think that's going to become a bigger part of the strategy?
I think so. I remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, a lot of D2C brands really kind of took a stand and said, I'll never sell on Amazon. I'll never sell in retail. And fast forward to today, you see so many D2C brands actually have their own brick and mortar, right? Because they understand that that's so important to drive that scale and drive that awareness. And, they've tapped out from a new user acquisition perspective, right? They've done everything that they can in their toolkit from an acquisition and retention perspective. So that's naturally the next step. So I absolutely believe, based on where brands are kind of in their maturation, I do believe that retail makes sense just because, what we just talked about, we live in an omni-channel world. And I think consumers, we need to make sure that we show up where consumers are. And we know they're shopping both online and at retail.
Which, yeah, I mean, I agree. You got to meet them where they are. You can't expect
Absolutely.
them to search you out if they don't know anything about you, right? So
Absolutely.
what do you do for awareness and to drive new customer acquisition? I mean, what are you excited about? What do you feel like is working well? I mean, obviously you don't have to give away all your secrets, but yeah, how's it going? And tell us.
Yeah, from an acquisition perspective, right, we cover all of the basics. So we're doing all of the things that a lot of performance and D2C brands are doing. So things like Facebook ads, paid social, paid search, making sure that we're defending our brand term, but also bidding on non-branded keywords, because we know consumers use Google or use Amazon, or Google more so, to ask questions, right? What's the best hangover drink out there? Or what can I do to cure a hangover? Or how do I focus better? So we want to make sure that we're really kind of bidding on strategic keywords on Google. But then also from an acquisition perspective, SEO is so important. And it's a place where we've been focusing because a few years ago, we had to completely sanitize our site. The FTC was really looking at us, and we needed to make sure that everything that we said on our site was compliant, and that there was data to really validate and back it up. And so we sanitized our site, and in turn lost, some traction from a keyword perspective and from a monthly traffic. So that's a huge focus for us in 2022, is how do we improve our on-page, off-page? So, we're doing all the things like technical SEO and off-page SEO and things like that. So I think we're doing all of kind of the traditional things that every D2C brand does, but we're also tapping into influencers. So influencers is a place that I saw work really well at my previous health and wellness company. It's a place where, consumers can tell their story in a really authentic way. And, I think there's a lot of trust and goodwill with influencers that consumers follow. And so, if you have some folks that you look up to from an influencer perspective, whether, it's from a cooking perspective or lifestyle or travel, you're really kind of turning to those folks because they're the experts in your eyes, and you really want to hear what they're talking about. And so we've really kind of doubled down on influencers. And invested in that space because we see that authenticity really come through. We see that storytelling opportunity with consumers really shine through. And we like to give influencers and content creators a little bit of liberty to really tell the story. So we don't really want to dictate what their story is or what their experience is with our products. We want them to truly share, how they feel when they use our products. And so we've seen influencers work really well for us. And then lastly, we're always looking to kind of new and emerging platforms. So one of the things that I think we've been really successful with is identifying emerging platforms and trying to be early adopters on those platforms.
Give us an example.
Yeah, so GoPuff, that's been a really great place for us. from a revenue perspective. So we got on there quite early, and we've seen success from a search perspective, really kind of bidding on branded keywords, non-branded keywords, and then doing some unique things around bidding on kind of, I would say, not competitive keywords, but keywords or brands that are in the alcohol space. And what we've seen is a lot of conversion there.
That makes sense to me. Yeah. If I'm gonna buy the vodka, I may as well put it right into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really allowed us, again, to generate some awareness, really kind of being placed next to some of those really well-known brands has helped us generate awareness. And we've seen just a ton of success with GoPuff, and they've been a great partner for us. We've been able to be featured in some sampling opportunities with them. They had kind of a GoPuff event for festival season in California. And so we were part of their goodie bag, if you will. And we were also able to sponsor and sample our Dreamwell product for the LA Marathon. And so it's just been a great experience for us. We show up on their feed organically too on Instagram. So we get shout outs once in a while, which is awesome because we believe that audience really aligns closely to our audience. And we've even seen our morning recovery bottle on some billboards in a few cities. So it's just been great to really get that awareness out there for the brand.
That's awesome. So, as you are bringing in these new customers, I know that when I went to your site, I signed up for your emails and I also signed up for your text messages. So it seems to me just an assumption would be that collecting your own first party data, zero party data is also pretty important.
Super important. Yeah, first party data is really king, right? And I think we saw that become truly a truth last year, right? With some of the changes in going cookieless. But first party data is so key because first and foremost, it allows us to really understand and be able to segment our data. Who are these folks? What are they interested in? From a purchase cycle perspective, how often are they purchasing? Do we have folks who only purchased on deal, or do we have folks who kind of come in and they're not price sensitive? So that's really important when we're segmenting our data. And it's really important too for us to do some outreach to really understand. So a perfect example is, we're developing a few concepts for new innovation. And who better to ask than the folks who love you today? So when we think about form expansion, we want to ask them, is this better or different than what you're using today? Do you see a different use case? And so it's just been great for us to be able to keep that connection and keep that relationship with our consumers and really surprise and delight them. It's also an area where, folks who have purchased from us and who are loyal, they really get the first experience when it comes to innovation or any new flash sales. So it really benefits them as well, to kind of sign up for our newsletters or sign up for SMS, because in turn, we provide a value exchange. So I think that's important as a brand, is how do you provide value to consumers?
Yeah. Well, okay, so TapOnIt obviously is a text marketing platform. So clearly we are a big fan of SMS, MMS.
Yes.
Tell us, I mean, how long ago did you guys put that in place? Is it something that, do you consider it, is it going well? What are your thoughts around messaging in general?
We love SMS, right? We believe it's the future of retention marketing, right? And so we believe that at some point it'll eclipse email for some brands, and it's an exciting space. It's a really kind of intimate and personalized space, SMS. And so you have to kind of tread lightly and be really intentional on how often you're sending and what you're sending. But we've seen huge success with SMS. Our open rates are, 10x that of email, and our conversion rates as well. And so our audience is a little bit smaller from an SMS perspective, but the engagement that we see on SMS is huge. And so that's something that we're going to continue to focus on, of how do we continue to grow that list and really build out the unique journeys and make sure that we have some of those flows set up like we do in email and SMS. That's a huge focus area that my team is spending some time kind of carving out.
When you're talking about like surveys or, asking your customers, do you do that mainly through email? Do you use text to ask those questions and introduce products?
I hope one day we can get to a place of SMS, right, and text. Right now, it's primarily email, but I think we have so much ground to cover with SMS. We have so much opportunity really to build that platform out, because, you know, we're only kind of scratching the surface there, Katie. And so kind of any tips or tricks you have, like, I'd love to connect and
oh, we are totally going to be connecting. Don't worry. We have so many ideas, especially after our team, you know, looked at all of the products. I feel like we are
Awesome.
your target market. So
Yeah.
yes,
Awesome.
we will be connecting for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, you know, the 10X, obviously that makes a big difference. You know, I loved your statement that it's the future of retention marketing. I think that, I mean, the more personal you can get, it's better for the relationship between you and your consumers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know we don't have a ton of time, so I want to make sure that we talk about some of the other things. First of all, is there anything new coming up, right? I mean, you've got these 3 products and you might have given us a sneak peek into something new. Do you want to tell everyone else?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, 2020 was the last time we launched some new innovation. And since then, we've been doing some research with consumers to really understand, you know, what are kind of their biggest pain points with the current portfolio we have today, and what does the future look like too? What are some other untapped opportunities that no one's delivering on? And so one of the pieces of feedback that we got for morning recovery was, gosh, I wish there was just a more palatable flavor, right? So the flavors that we have in our portfolio are lemon and lemon ginger. And so when you pull the data in kind of Nielsen IRI spins, and you look at the functional beverage category, really the top 3 flavors are orange, grape, or berry. And that's clearly missing from our portfolio. So we will be unveiling a new flavor, orange mango, which we're kind of coining the juiciest flavor of the summer. And so it's delicious. It's now my favorite. I'm excited to see what happens with consumers. I think they'll absolutely love the flavor. We were able to do an in-home use test with consumers, and we got amazing feedback and kind of thumbs up from consumers. So that's awesome. So that's launching in a few weeks here. And then we also kind of evaluated, you know, are there any additional benefits that align well with morning recovery? And what we found is, especially in summer months, people were doing a lot of day drinking, right? So they were getting together with friends, picnics, what have you, feasting, right? Yeah. You know, or even in the fall, watching sports with friends. And you know, people were supplementing, you know, your big energy brands, right? They were shooting some of those bigger and well-known established energy drinks. And we said, why can't we just add some energy into morning recovery, right? The behavior exists. People are doing that. You know, why don't we formulate our product to include energy? So we're launching morning recovery with energy in a few weeks, and it's berry flavored. So really kind of tapping on making sure that that flavor profile it is really aligns with consumers' tastes, and making sure that we're including energy, which we know consumers are, you know, using throughout the day as they're drinking with friends. And so we're pretty excited about those 2 new products that are about to launch in the next few weeks. And then our head of R&D is fantastic. He's done an amazing job kind of formulating across the board, and we have a couple of things in the pipe for next year. So we're excited about, you know, kind of expanding the More Labs portfolio.
That's awesome. Well, it's fun to have some inside knowledge there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about like just that customer relationship after the purchase. Like, what do you do to make sure that you're retaining them? I mean, we always talk about the fact that there's 3 ways to grow a business, right? New customers, which is the most difficult,
Yep.
and then it's get your current customers to buy more or buy more frequently, or all of the above. So
Yep.
what do you do to make sure you're retaining and keeping people coming back?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of really kind of would say like the traditional flow set up. So once a consumer comes and purchases for the first time a product on our site, we're following up with them right away. You know, we're updating them throughout that journey to say, you know, here's when your product's going to arrive. Your product arrived, and then following up with them if they're first time users, you know, after a few days, tell us what you think about the product. You know, let us know if there's any improvements that we can create. So it's really about keeping that connection and that open line of communication with consumers and checking in with them post-purchase experience. And then, you know, if we have any new or exciting things down the pipe, whether it's promotions, really highlighting some of the key drinking holidays, or highlighting kind of from a seasonality perspective, sleep and energy. making sure that they're the first to really get those promotions, and they're the first to really learn about some of our new innovations. So really making sure that we're providing that value to the folks who've raised their hand and purchased from us. And so, yeah, I think it's been working well. And then, from time to time, doing some post-purchase surveys, really hearing from them in terms of, what's missing, what are some other challenges or stressors that you have in your life, what could make this product better. So it's really kind of doing some outreach and making sure that we're delivering and delighting on things that they're looking for.
Do you see it happening naturally where they're starting maybe with morning recovery and then they start to really buy other products from you? Are you doing a lot of cross marketing to make sure that they can, really you're kind of fixing the whole day, right? All 24 hours.
That's the hope, right?
Yeah.
We do see a lot of our sales, our first time users come in through morning recovery. It has a higher awareness around that product. And I think because, it works so well. I'm a user. I give it to my friends every time, friends have a party. They're like, can you please bring some morning recovery? And so, I think people who use it absolutely see the benefit. And, they slowly progress into our other products. Because they're getting that really strong feedback loop and they're like, wow, if you guys are crushing it from this perspective, like I would love to use Liquid Focus or, Dreamwell. And we're seeing that happen naturally. So yeah, it's absolutely about kind of giving them exposure to all of the solutions that we have within More Labs.
I love it. And I saw your red, white, and blue morning recovery for the holiday. That looked very cool. How has sales been for that?
I don't know if we can see it. It's
the background. There. Wait, perfect. So cute. So cute.
So what we like to say is red, white, and recovered.
I know we already ordered some, so we're ready for the holiday weekend. Yeah, I think the whole office has placed orders now. So I think that I'm trying to think what other pieces that really jumped out to me in our conversation, through the influencer marketing, have you found more success with like macro, micro? Is there a certain type of person you're looking to tell your story?
Yeah, we found a lot of success with micro and nano influencers. So folks who have a slightly smaller audience, they tend to have a much higher engagement rate. So the folks, who have 10, 50,000 followers, they tend to have a higher engagement rate. And I think they have a really loyal following. And so we try and create those partnerships and relationships with those micro and nano influencers. And we're doing it across the board. So, we're still doing it, advertising on Facebook. Instagram is a huge platform. And then getting into TikTok because, that's also the future of social marketing. And so we want to make sure that we're there. And it's a really unique platform and it's different from Instagram. And so that strategy, that content strategy has to really kind of be tailored to that platform. So getting in on TikTok and I think the team's been having a lot of fun just kind of connecting with content creators.
I bet. Yeah. I'm sure you could do a lot of really cool stuff on TikTok. How do you keep on top of all of it though? There's a lot of different places that you can be putting your brand, obviously through social media, and then just your own retention marketing. And your traditional, like how are you guys handling all of that?
Yeah, it's tough, right? When you think about the media landscape for performance marketers, it's just so vast, right? To your point, there's so much you can be doing. So for us, it's about really kind of covering the bases, doing all the foundational things from a paid search, paid social, SEO perspective, making sure that the website's optimized from a CRO perspective, making sure that, when we are generating, prospecting and generating leads to come to our site, that it's an optimized experience and that funnel makes sense. And so really kind of making sure that the foundation is taken care of is first and foremost. And then I think it's really about placing your bets because to your point, we can't do everything. And so influencers is a place where, we absolutely have seen a lot of success. And so that's where we're doubling down and then exploring kind of new avenues. So podcasts, love the podcast space. I think it's really
right target audience. Yeah,
absolutely. And so that's something that, we're looking to get into in a meaningful way. So we have a couple of great partnerships that we've had for the last few years, but looking to really expand in the podcast space, because again, I think storytelling is so important, especially for a unique product like this.
Yeah.
And, getting on some influential shows, getting some host reads of people who've actually used the products and can vouch for it in their own voice, I think is really important for our brand. And so it's just really about being choiceful, covering the bases, and then making a few big bets of where you think, your consumers, and finding where your consumers are really.
Amazing. So, okay, let's go back to that crystal ball. Obviously, you guys have had to change a lot in the past 2.5 years. We all have, right? You're adapting to this crazy new world. What do you think is going to be coming in the next 5 years? I mean, again, where are you placing your bets?
Yeah, I think there's going to continue to be these emerging platforms. So there's going to continue to be competitors to GoPuff, right? Because I think through the pandemic, consumers have really loved the immediacy and convenience of delivery services. Right. And I think people are seeing the success that GoPuff has had. And so I think we're going to continue to see, different types of platforms emerge that deliver that convenience for consumers. So I think that's going to be a huge piece. I think social media is changing as we know it, right? And so TikTok's going to continue to grow. And so really making sure that you understand the go-to-market strategy on that, I think will be so important for consumers, right? And for D2C brands as well. And so I think that's going to change a lot. And then I think from a broader societal perspective, people are so much more in tune with health and wellness. Right through the pandemic, I saw at my previous company how sales had skyrocketed and how time spent on website, people were reading articles. And so I think that's going to become, more important in people's lives. And I think we're positioned well to continue to deliver, new solutions to consumers. So I think all of those things will really kind of ramp up over the next few years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you guys produce a lot of content? I mean, do you try and give them other reasons besides just purchasing to come back to the site?
We do, yeah. And so that's kind of a huge effort that we have from an SEO perspective is how do we start to generate more blogs based on the keywords that consumers are looking for. And so I think content marketing is so important. And I think it's an underutilized and undervalued part of the entire funnel. But, we know SEO is really important to brands. And so answering those questions that we know consumers have, I think is going to be important. And getting some of that traffic organically to your site is great because, right, CPMs aren't going to get less expensive. So acquisition costs are going to continue to rise. And so it's a really nice complement to be able to create that content and not have to pay exorbitant rates.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think content is king or queen. I mean, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that pretty much brings, this has been fantastic. I appreciate the opportunity to have met you and look forward to talking to you again. Yeah, it's been fun. Any last words?
Yeah, I would say for those of you who are listening, visit morelabs.com. If you want to try our products, there's a discount code BRAND20 for those folks who are listening to this webinar. And you'll get 20% off of your purchase at morelabs.com. Again, use BRAND20.
Just in time for the holiday.
Spoken like a true marketer. Perfect call to action. That was terrific. Oh, Lydia, Katie, thank you so much. I had to jump in because, in full disclosure, you can hear how well-spoken Lydia is. And I'm going to put her on a forthcoming podcast from Brand Innovators, since she is a lover of podcasts, and so am I. How could we not do that? There was so much great meat in this. I am looking forward to playing this over and over again on our Brand Innovators YouTube channel. I know, Katie, that you were thrilled that she is an SMS fan. You'll provide tips and tricks for her from TapOnIt. This was like the love will keep on going from More Labs. Thank you both so much.
More to come.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.